Welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner, joined by Eric Chilton and Tahisha Moise. We are practicing social distancing still as Eric and Tahisha continue to work from home this afternoon, but we are connected with you on social media. We are live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. Join our conversation and use our hashtag 4 to 5.
Reopen NC held a Memorial Day Freedom Rally in 5 North Carolina cities today, including in the Triad in Greensboro. The rallies continue as that group demands that the governor reopen the state completely. So those rallies were held in 5 cities, as mentioned, in Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, Asheville, and Wilmington. Organizers told WFMY News 2 the Memorial Day theme honors those who fought for our freedoms. The group did get the necessary permits and worked with law enforcement to make sure they were following guidelines. The Reopen NC movement was started by a group who believes the executive stay-at-home orders and closures step on constitutional rights.
I'm an Army brat, and my father served in 3 wars fighting for freedom, and here we're just getting our freedom chipped away, and I thought the least I could do is show up today.
We do know that here we had somewhere between 150 and 175 people. We're definitely not finished. We're not going to stop until North Carolina is 100% restored to pre-COVID times.
Organizers also say they feel state leaders have not been consistent with which businesses can reopen. They would like to see data showing how decisions are made.
Well, many of you are chatting about this on our Facebook page. Social media guru Jalen Gilkey is here with us this afternoon. Jalen, how are people feeling about that rally?
Well, Maddie, the people are pretty fired up. Our first comment today comes from Keen. She said, today is for remembering our military that sacrificed their lives for us. Pick another day to protest. Gloria, she says, the state is reopening. Give it a rest already. Dawn says, our health is at stake when these people go into grocery stores, drugstores, anywhere, and may be a carrier of the virus. Anyone can be a carrier, and you can pass it on to someone in your family. Darlene says, safety first. Practice the 3 W's. Protect others and yourself. Tanya, she says, yep, you need to be patient, not unless you want to get sick and stuff and get the virus. I still think it's too soon to reopen. If you ask me, I'm wanting my family to stay safe. And our last comment comes from Sharon. She says, not there, but love the way we are celebrating Memorial Day. So we got people all over the board. We got some in agreement. We got some that are in disagreement. Hot button topic. People fired up. And you guys keep commenting on our Facebook page for us.
Now let's get to the headlines with your 4 to 5 roundup. President Donald Trump is threatening to move the Republican National Convention out of North Carolina. In a series of tweets, the president said, quote, I love the great state of North Carolina so much so that I insisted on having the Republican National Convention in Charlotte at the end of August. Unfortunately, Democratic Governor Roy Cooper is still in shutdown mood and unable to guarantee that by August we will be allowed attendance into the arena. Now, the president went on to say if the RNC can't use the Spectrum Center, he'll be forced to find another site. Governor Roy Cooper responded in a statement saying state health officials are working with the RNC and will review its plans as they make decisions about how to hold the convention in Charlotte. Wall Street is closed today in honor of Memorial Day, but tomorrow some traders will be returning to the stock exchange for the first time since late March when the floor closed after workers there tested positive for coronavirus. Things, of course, will look a little bit different. Face masks will be required and social distancing guidelines will be in place. Hand sanitizer dispensers and plastic barriers will be a common presence on the floor. Health officials in Wuhan, China say as of today, they've collected coronavirus swab tests for more than 6 million of the 11 million people there in the last 10 days. No new COVID-19 cases have been reported since the 10-day campaign started. The city's health commission is asking anyone who has not been tested to come forward by tomorrow. And the Charlotte Hornets will open their practice facility tomorrow. The Novant Health Training Center inside of the Spectrum Center will be open to let individual players train on a practice court. The area can only be used to do things that can't be done at home, like shooting. The locker rooms, weight rooms, and medical training areas will stay closed. Only 4 players will be allowed in at one time, and each player is allowed to work with one coach.
Really upsetting, especially for us, I feel like, because We had like a really strong connection, and I really think we could have gone far this year, farther than we've ever gone.
Especially losing the baseball season made me sad.
These could be feelings that your child may be experiencing as the coronavirus impacts sports.
Yes, if your child is a student athlete and they're feeling this way, they are certainly not alone. WFMY News 2's Amanda Ferguson spoke with a therapist about ways you can help them through this time.
If we sort of think about each of us as a flower with petals on it, and each petal is one of our identities. Student athletes have more than anybody else because they have athletic identity. And so when you take that away, it's like ripping half the petals out of a flower.
To have that like being taken away is something that's difficult to go through.
It's going to look weird. It's going to feel empty. It's going to be painful. And COVID did that across the board with every sport. Everybody was impacted.
A lot of us are trying to navigate life without sports. If you need help, it's out there.
As a parent, going to your kid and saying, I'm really disappointed I'm not going to get to see you play. That makes me feel really sad. That's a great opening.
Where do you go from there?
It's sort of twofold. There's the one piece where you have to grieve what you've lost. So managing that is one side. So you want to go ahead and deal with the loss, the grief, the sadness, processing those feelings. Then there's this other planning side. So it's kind of split down the middle of when it comes back, what does that look like? Start to talk about hope and goals.
She says engaging with coaches, teammates, or friends through social media can be a big help.
The thing to remember is that everybody's in the same place. The same goes for coaches in their programs. Everybody's in the same place. And so if you can't work on your body, work on your mind.
I asked Whitney Brown how she talks to patients about the coronavirus effects in sports. She says she doesn't know how to handle it. She's got to go based off of injury. So it's like if an athlete gets injured, she just has to assume that everybody in the country is injured. And that's an interesting point of view because we don't know how to handle something like this. With an injury, though, you at least have an end point. You know when you're going to get to play again. But right now, we don't know.
Amanda, thank you. Yes, certainly a difficult conversation to have with any athlete, especially someone who's still in high school and maybe middle school who doesn't understand everything that's going on right now. Tahisha, this is how it all started, right? The cancellation of the ACC tournament and then the NCAA tournament, I should say. So sports have been out for a long time at this point.
And Maddie, that was really when people started to take things seriously. I know, and they're like, okay, if they're canceling the ACC tournament and sending everyone away, even though it had already started, that was really at that point, everyone's like, okay, we really need to keep an eye on this. And, you know, from a team's point of view, I mean, this is something they've been working on for years and years. So I know there's that grief period that was mentioned that they'll definitely be going through right now.
Yeah, certainly. Eric, what are your thoughts about this?
I think that the bottom line in this is the mentality of an athlete is very competitive, right? And it's a piece of who they are. We've kind of taken that away in the short term. But the best advice, I think, was the last line in that story when she said, if you can't work on your body, work on your mind. And that usually will fix it all. All right, let's talk about our forecast. We gotta chat about temperatures because things are looking pretty good. You know, I mean, 69 degrees in Greensboro. We're up to 75 in Burlington. These temperatures are good. 72 in Siler City, high point at 69 as well. Overall, heading into the night tonight, we won't drop that much. We're down to about 62, and that'll be tomorrow morning, right? Clouds tomorrow, or tonight rather, a few showers. We do see some extra clouds tomorrow as well, but I'm not so sure that the rain will be a big factor tomorrow. Let's keep the highs right around 76 degrees. Clouds and radar right now only in the highest elevations of the mountains, and mostly on the other side of the mountains are we seeing the shower activity. So 7-day forecast will build every day. 76 for your Tuesday, 77 on Wednesday. Now the difference here, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and to some degree Saturday, we have a 40 to 50% chance of rain. Upper 70s for Wednesday, Thursday, low 80s Friday, and we'll be back to about 82 to 79 for your weekend.
mayor in Missouri is reminding everyone that social distancing is a personal responsibility after this video went viral showing overcrowded pools and people not wearing masks at Lake of the Ozarks yesterday. Osage Beach Mayor John Oliveri says he's worried about everyone who was there, but says they knew what they were getting into by going. The mayor says it's difficult to regulate how people behave as Missouri reopens. He argued that people gathered over a weekend in late April in the Ozarks and local cases did not increase.
Similar situation here in North Carolina as hundreds of fans went to the Ace Speedway on Saturday. Now, Governor Cooper's safer at home order allows no more than 25 people to gather at one time. However, federal guidelines allow up to 250 people. The entrance gate had signs pushing for social distancing and hand washing. Alamance County sent out a letter saying the Speedway has been communicating with the health department. The letter also says the government cannot limit the number of people allowed to peacefully assemble under the First Amendment.
So here on the 4 to 5, we like to have a conversation with you about this. And Eric Chilton, you started one on your social media pages about what people thought about mass gatherings and large events like this.
Yeah, I did that. You know, the video to me was pretty shocking when you saw how close people were. So I said, do you think it's the right time for us to be doing this too soon or the right time? And boy, did people have opinions on this. Now, most said they thought it was too early. Look at Jenny Moore Monroe says, yes, too soon. So many people with immune difficulties that these people may come in contact with that can really affect them. Beth Miller said, yes, way too soon. I'll be continuing to limit how much I go out except for work and wearing a mask and sanitizing my hands afterwards as well. Kathy Owen said, people, please stop putting others in danger. I'm staying home until phase 3, except for going to get groceries, and I do wear a mask when I go out. Sharon Greenwood Reed says, wish we had opened up a few weeks earlier to get folks in a transition mode before a major holiday. As an American, we do have freedom to choose, so if you're not comfortable, stay home or around your community. We are playing it safe and limiting our activities, gatherings, and wearing masks in stores and shopping locally. It's moderation for us. And Daryl Eldred Watkins just said simply, way too early, anticipating a huge second wave. We do hope that is not the case. But I think a lot of people, when you see that video now, isn't it funny? You know, 6 months ago, we would have looked at that video and said, so what? Now, whole different ball game.
Right, and just a reminder that the CDC and state health officials are saying limit mass gatherings to 25 people when you're outside and 10 people when you are inside. Tahisha, I know a lot of people across social media have been talking about this video as well.
Right. I mean, honestly, it was lighting up my timeline all day. I kept seeing the same video over and over in the same comments. What is going on in this video? For me, it makes me a little uncomfortable and a little bit disappointed seeing just a lot of people so close together like that, because, you know, a lot of the social distancing guidelines and the masks, you know, it's not for yourself. It's more so to keep other people safe around you.
Well, you are free to chime in on this one. We are live right now on Facebook and on YouTube. What do you think about this? Is it too early for large crowds? Use our hashtag 4 to 5 to let us know your thoughts. We'll be right back.
You know, social distancing has made it difficult to interview for a job right now, and unemployment rates are so high, we really have to find an alternative. So Kim Harris of the Carolina Career Centers has an answer. Take a look.
Kim, it seems like everything's virtual these days, including this interview with me and you. What you guys are doing, though, is kind of cool. I mean, you're offering people employment through virtual meetings. How does this work?
We are so excited, Eric, to offer the general public free virtual events. You can attend these events out of the safety of your own home. You're going to log on to our website, Southeast Career Center. There you will see a list of employers all across the state of North Carolina. Decide which employer you want to visit that day, go in, and you're going to chat with them live on video, just like you and I are interacting right now, live.
So it's really cool. I mean, it's a virtual interview process, right? And do you think this is going to have to be the way it is for a while, we believe?
Some of the feedback from the career seekers, they couldn't attend transportation, childcare, or they were in another city, but they were interested in, say, you know, a career in Greensboro, North Carolina, and they weren't able to attend. So right now, you know, our typical virtual career fair is about 20 employers, but we just hope to grow. You know, we see some of our clients right now, they're on hiring freezes. Some are coming back. So we're very, very excited. In the job market, we have a lot of new clients. We see government. That's something very new for us, retail and hospitality. So again, we're just encouraging our career seekers to keep going, to keep looking, and we're definitely here if you need us.
Kim, thanks so much. It's nice to see a company that started right here in the Triad growing so well. Good luck this Thursday.
Now, if you want to join the job fair virtually, of course, it's on Thursday, and we've linked you to their registration page. You just go to WFNYnews2.com and look for this story there. Pretty cool company. And by the way, Maddie, they have grown so fast. They were like Career Centers of the Carolinas, and then the Carolina Career Center. Now they're Career Center of the Southeast. They're just blowing up, but in a good way.
What I love about this story, it's right there on the bottom of the screen. 100 jobs available, especially right now when we're hearing record unemployment numbers. Tilton, to hear that jobs are available for people, that's great news.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so easy to do too. You do it from the comfort of your home. You know, I would suggest that you do dress nicely or whatever. Pop right in front of that camera and you could have a job by the end of the day. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll be able to connect with people and get that extra information to them, like your resume and all of that they would need in a traditional job interview when you would just pass it over a desk, right?
That's right. Exactly right. Easy to do.
All right, all that information once again on our website, WFNYnews2.com. Keep chatting with us. Use our hashtag 4 to 5. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube. Carolina Field of Honor canceled their annual Memorial Day ceremony for the first time in the park's history. The ceremony honors all of the men and women who have died serving our country.
All right, we look at our satellite and radar combination because today was just such a different day than the last several, wasn't it? Clouds building in, staying with us better part of the day. If you look at the radar composite of this, you can see most of the rain is on the mountain chain or back to the west of us and just kind of holding there. On a wider shot, you can see there's still a lot of instability. These systems just sort of lingering a little bit. You see that stationary front over North and South Carolina. What's it doing? Becoming stationary, and it's just sort of sitting there. So until that breaks, we've got the clouds and some of the rain developing along that, plus that easterly flow coming in from the coast and literally hitting the mountains and backing up across the region. That keeps us rather cloudy and with a chance of showers until we can break that pattern. Now, rain chances for tomorrow, not all that great, 20%, but we're kind of stuck in a cloudy pattern with late day pop-up storms after that. It's a 50-50 shot. That'll be for Wednesday and Thursday, probably into Friday as well. Saturday, we'll drop that to a 40%, but we do a warming trend going to 76 tomorrow, 77 on Wednesday, upper 70s Thursday, and then we stuck in the low 80s for Thursday, or Friday rather, and Saturday before dropping to 79 and clearing out on Sunday.
Hello, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Good afternoon and welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Tahisha Moise and Eric Chilton, who are live from their respective houses this afternoon as we continue to practice social distancing here on the 4 to 5. But we are still connected with you on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. Use our hashtag 4 to 5 and join our conversation.
Well, you know, small businesses, they are literally at the heart and soul of our country. But this current situation that we're in, it can make it very difficult. I chatted with Kim Harris, who took Carolina Career Centers up from a smaller company now to the Southeastern Career Centers. It's just a huge jump there. She took her small business to new heights, and she said it all comes back to the basics if you're trying to grow a small business. Take a look.
Kim, you started your company years ago basically in the Triad, but now you're growing just huge here. What have the business principles changed since we're in this pandemic situation for small businesses in the Triad? What should they remember when they want to grow?
Customer service, definitely communication. During this pandemic, the beginning, late March, I actually picked up the telephone, Eric, and I called over 200 of my clients across the country, asked how they were doing. We're very concerned about them, their families, their health, but also their business needs. What are your immediate needs? What can we partner with? So I would have to say customer service again. Caring, understanding specific needs, and technology is the key. Change, we have to embrace change. You know, I am not tech savvy. The past 60 days of understanding technology and moving my company from an in-person career fair company to a virtual. So, and also aligning yourself with visionaries, with people who understand those areas that you're not strong at. You know, I brought on people who were stronger than me in technology, in communication, so they could help my company not only sustain, but grow.
It's funny, I've always said that a president is only as good as his cabinet, and that's kind of basically what you just said.
I always hire people that are smarter than me, Eric.
That is very, very smart. Kim, thanks for taking time with us today.
Yeah. Eric, thank you. And thank you for WFMY for your years of partnership and what you do for the community. 2 cares.
You know, it is true that, and I never thought about it till she said this, whether it's a pandemic or a normal situation or whatever we call normal anymore, it all goes back to customer service, she said, and embracing any type of change. And really, if you do that, your business is going to grow.
I love when she said embracing that change, Eric. That's what we've seen a lot of small businesses do here in the Triad community. I mean, you alone have reported on dozens of stories of just businesses who are overhauling their entire plan in order to serve their customers during this pandemic.
Yes. I've really tried to focus as much as I can with our stories on how we can support local businesses and small businesses, because in a mid-sized market like where we live, it's so important. It's probably more important than it is in the larger cities for us to do that.
And we have to continue to patronize them because we're not out of the woods just yet with this. Thank you. Well, let's check in on the headlines now with your 4 to 5 roundup. Japan ended its nationwide state of emergency. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says just because that is lifted, though, does not mean the outbreak is over. Now, Japan avoided a large outbreak like we've seen in the United States and in Europe. The country saw close to 17,000 cases and 850 deaths. Japan never implemented a lockdown. Instead, it barred foreign travelers who went to highly affected countries and asked people to social distance and wear masks. Restaurants and shops were required to change their hours and close earlier than normal, but bars, live music venues, and gyms were closed. President Donald Trump is imposing new travel restrictions on Brazil. People will not be allowed to travel to the United States if they've been in Brazil within 14 days before they're scheduled to arrive here. The travel ban does not apply to permanent U.S. residents, their spouses, legal guardians of permanent residents under the age of 21, and other groups. Brazil has more than 347,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus, according to Johns Hopkins University. Only the United States has more, with more than 1.6 million cases. Memorial Day, of course, is a day to remember those who died fighting for our freedom. One Marine veteran spent 2 hours today sending a message about that freedom. Staff Sergeant Skip Nix stood at Wendover Avenue and Stanley Avenue in Greensboro from 10 until noon, holding a sign that said, "It's not free." He served in the Marines from 1975 to 81 during peacetime, and he also served as division chief in the Greensboro Fire Department. That's where he worked for 35 years. And Goodwill stores across the Triad are now expanding their hours. They'll now be open from 10 until 7 Monday through Saturday and 1 to 6 on Sundays. Also, if you're looking for a job, Triad Goodwill says they're hiring at many of their locations.
President Trump says schools should reopen as soon as possible. The president tagged British political advisor and commentator Stephen Hilton, who told Fox News schools should reopen. Now, Hilton said wearing masks to schools and businesses as places reopen is okay, but he called temperature checks useless. On the other side, 2 recent polls show people don't feel comfortable sending children back to school. A Quinnipiac University poll found half of voters feel it's not safe to send children back, and a political poll found 41% of people believe it's a bad idea to send students back in the fall.
Meanwhile, schools in Australia and Spain are open once again. Secondary school students are the first to return in Spain after the country entered phase 2 of reopening today. Some schools did reopen without students. Parents in Australia said they felt it was safe for their students to go back to school. Australia plans to fully reopen by July.
Students are still taking AP exams despite school closures, but they are now taking those exams from home in order to earn college credit. CBS News' Dana Jacobson reports that taking those tests online has not been such a smooth process for many students.
Submit! As millions of high school students began taking AP exams from home last week,
you have 20 minutes to read the question.
Not everything went as planned.
Not working. The submit button doesn't work.
Take Ella Bubek, a junior at Blue Mountain High School in Pennsylvania.
I was just thinking, this is unbelievable. I was clicking submit and nothing happened. It was like the submit button was just frozen.
What went through your mind?
I was frustrated. I was nervous about it. I didn't know if there was anything I did wrong.
AP tests are typically in-person exams that last between 3 to 4 hours with multiple choice, short answer, and essay questions.
You can use any device to take this exam.
But tests administered during the pandemic were online, lasted 45 minutes, and consisted of only free response questions.
I think is a lot more difficult than in the past.
Retired teacher Mike Burns scored AP history exams for the College Board for more than a decade. He says this year's changes are cause for concern.
It's going to be given via computer. Do all students have computers and computer access that would allow them to do this?
We had a little panic attack whether or not my exam was that night or the next morning.
Enrique Castro is a senior at Kubasaki High School, a Department of Defense school in Okinawa, Japan. He took 5 AP exams because tests in each subject were administered at the same time for all students. He had to take his in the middle of the night.
Do you think it put you at a disadvantage because you were obviously taking an exam at a time where you should have been sleeping?
Yes, it was out of my routine.
How did it go for your AP exams?
For U.S. government, it went extremely well. My Calculus BC exam, I had to submit pictures. Unfortunately, the College Board did not receive my responses because they did not upload in time. Right after I had been told that my responses were not submitted, I went outside and sat outside the front of the house for about a good 45 minutes and just kind of stared blank out into the distance.
The College Board says students who experienced issues during the first week of testing can take makeup exams in June, a small consolation for students like Enrique Castro and Ella Bubek.
I'm going to try to do as best as I can and do even better than I would have. And I feel like that's the only thing we really can do at this point.
If this teaches anything from the class of 2020, it's the fact that we need to get the job done and we have no other option.
What a nightmare for those students. Almost unfathomable, Maddie and Eric, when you think about it, submitting all of that information, sitting through that test just for your answers not to go through, because we know just how reliable technology is every single day.
Right, and it always works when you want it to, of course. I remember AP exams being some of the most stressful tests I've ever had. Even in college, they weren't as stressful as AP exams. So just that added pressure of having to take it online and then submit your work, and then that poor fellow who had to do it all overnight, goodness gracious, surely they'll figure something out to make it all right.
Yeah, We haven't heard the last of this because one of my twins had to take an AP exam online. He said it was really difficult. Sometimes there was a lag, and we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed because we'll be sifting through this for a long time, I do believe. All right, let's go right to our forecast and some changes for us and what we've been seeing over the last little bit. Temperatures are comfortable here. Boy, you notice a huge spread in temperatures across the state. From 69 in Boone and the Triad, then you jump to 75 in Raleigh. Fayetteville's in the low 80s in the Sandhills. And when you get to the coastal plain, the winds off the water there are pretty strong because the winds are coming in out of the east, so that'll cool them down to 76 for Wilmington and Myrtle Beach at 75. Here's what it looks like tonight. Clouds, still maybe a few sprinkles or showers. Can't rule that out anywhere, although it's not a big rain event. 62 for the overnight low, which means we'll see that tomorrow morning. We'll get up to 76 tomorrow, extra clouds, but I really think it'll be mainly dry. Across the area now, we're not seeing much in the way of heavy rains. You may see a sprinkle, even though it doesn't show up on the radar. Some of that can actually develop under the radar beam, so to speak. And then the heavier showers and in some cases thunderstorms we're seeing is really in eastern parts of Tennessee. The entire complex is a little unsettled. You see the low pressure in the stationary front just kind of drifting around. When you combine the clockwise winds around that high to our north, the counterclockwise winds around the low off the coast, all that funnels winds out of the east. That's a warm, moist flow, right? It comes in from the coast with all that moisture off the ocean, comes right up into the Piedmont, and that's why we see a generally unsettled weather pattern for the next few days at least. 76 tomorrow, 20% chance of rain. Bring that up to a 40 to 50%. That's Wednesday through Saturday. Upper 70s Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, low 80s, and will cool down and start to clear out on Sunday with a high temperature of 79.
Let's get this straight. There are businesses that will tell you, hey, if you're not wearing a mask, you're not getting service. You're familiar with what I'm talking about,
yes,
right?
I have seen this, Tanya, many times.
Okay, but when you're at a restaurant, you're not asked to wear a mask as the customer usually because you're eating, right? So let me ask you, do you expect to see the hostess, the server, or maybe even your takeout delivery person wearing a mask?
I would be a lot more comfortable if they were wearing a mask, but I understand it's not required.
Right. So over the weekend, a News 2 viewer sent this question in. Donna says, we went through the drive-thru and neither the server taking cash or the one handing us our order were wearing masks. Isn't this against the guidelines? Well, the place to find the answer is in the governor's executive order. The answer is yes and no. 2 Wants to Know is going to pick through it and has the answer for Donna and for you tonight at 6 o'clock. Also, have you been using this long weekend to clear out a little bit of clutter? Don't throw out those old computers or keyboards or towers, remotes or phones. Goodwill wants them. If they're only good for scrap, then they'll recycle them. If they're good enough to give away, Goodwill will clean them off of your info and update them for someone else to use. We're going to talk with the folks at Goodwill coming up at 5:30 because there are 3 things that they cannot take no matter what. That's coming up next.
North Carolina entered phase 2 of the governor's reopening plan Friday evening at 5. Well, as I was running errands this weekend, I noticed that fewer people were wearing masks. They are still recommended to be worn in public by the CDC. The governor's office also recommending that people wear them as well. But I wanted to know if you at home were maybe noticing the same thing. So I asked you all on my Facebook, and here's what a few of you had to say. Amy writes, some of both. Some wear them, some don't. Some wear them incorrectly, so might as well not have one on. Still having customers not staying the 6 feet away, which is annoying. Janelle writes, I've seen less masks since the state started reopening. It's like people think the virus suddenly went away. We still wear ours. Our kids still stay home, and we only go out when necessary. Michelle writes, I was at the Garden Valley Farmers Market. I was the only one wearing a mask. It is very sad. No one is being cautious. Sharon writes, same here. I'll stay away if people keep doing that. I'm not risking it. And lastly, Tasha writes, hardly anyone wearing masks, and it's disturbing to me. Maddie, I had close to about 80 comments on my Facebook page today, and I could probably tell you 99% of the people who commented said they're seeing the same thing. Not a lot of people wearing masks, and then some that do aren't even wearing it properly. So.
Right, and once again, it is a recommendation by state health officials and the CDC, because we always like to remind people the mask is not protecting you necessarily, it's protecting other people from any germs that you may have and may not know about, because we know there are asymptomatic carriers of coronavirus.
Yeah, and a lot of people saying that they may not feel comfortable going to certain places, so they're choosing to stay home just a little bit longer, only going out for essentials until things really start to die down.
Yeah, glad that they have that choice to make. All right, Eric, what's the weather looking like?
Yep, forecast-wise, one thing I wanted to zoom out to show you a wider look at these temperatures. Will you look at Nashville at 90 degrees? 90 degrees, Lexington, Kentucky at 84, then we dropped to 75, and then in Asheville, the Triad 69. Guess where the front is? That's bringing some cloud cover and rain and limited sunshine. Yep, right over us. That's why you see those big temperature differences. Otherwise, we'd be really warm today and probably into tomorrow as well. I want to show you the planning forecast here. 62 will be your morning low, so that's our overnight low tonight. We think the clouds are going to hang in. I mean, you may end up with a peak of sunshine here or there, but this is a mostly cloudy Tuesday on tap for us, and fairly dry. We'll still keep a 20% chance in, but a high temperature of 76 tomorrow. We do begin a warming trend after that as we see our wind shift a little bit. Most of the cloud cover that you see now is kind of what you see is what you get over the next couple of days. Not a whole lot of change. Thunderstorm activity because of those more volatile warm temperatures in central Tennessee and eastern Tennessee. That's over Knoxville in that area. That probably not going to make it over the mountains for us, at least from a thunderstorm standpoint. In fact, look at the futurecast. The clouds and radar as we go through. There's 6 p.m. and as we head into the night tonight and tomorrow morning, kind of the same thing, just mostly cloudy, maybe a break in the clouds here or there, a few sprinkles, mostly northwest. Our winds are coming in out of the east, so some of that gets pinned up against the mountains, and it tends to rise and cause more showers in the mountain communities than it does right over the Triad. Now, that there is a changing situation here. That low pressure with the stationary front will just gradually drift on to the east and kind of phase out, but this low coming in from the south, that will bring in heavier rains and thunderstorm opportunities, and that's probably, I'd say, a Wednesday afternoon, and we have that risk on Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even into Friday and Saturday as we watch some of the cloud situation just kind of linger. Again, we're going to see a low pressure with a stationary front just kind of drifting up the coast from south to north. So we'll keep our eye on that for you. Cloud cover tonight, a few showers. Yeah, we have some of that. 62, the overnight low. Winds pretty much out of the east, and they'll be fairly light. Look for those clouds tomorrow, although I don't think we'll see a bunch in the way of thunderstorm activity or any kind of rain. It's a very slight 20% or less for tomorrow. 76, the high. We'll bump that to 77 on Wednesday. That's when we see the rain chances back, folks. 50-50 shot for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. A lot of those will be late-day pop-up storms. We're up to 79 Thursday. Low 80s, though, for Friday and Saturday, and finally by the second half of the weekend, mainly dry on Sunday, a high of 79, sunshine and 83 on Monday.
We hope you'll stick around for WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock. Coming up, gym owners continue pressing for the right to reopen under phase 2 of Governor Roy Cooper's Safer at Home order. We spoke with gym instructors, some who are finding ways to stay open while others are still closed. That's coming up tonight on WFMY News 2 at 5.
We want to take some time to honor our seniors who are.
It looks like we lost Ahaysha's audio there, but of course we want to take some time to honor our seniors whose graduations have been so greatly affected by the coronavirus pandemic. That's why we do our senior shout outs here on WFMY News 2. So let's take a look at who we are honoring today. First up is Faith Benson. She's a senior at Western Alamance High School. She was enrolled at both Alamance Community College and Western Alamance, dual enrollment there. Faith is going to pursue a degree in nursing.
And Savory Shepard is a senior at Sonora High School. She's an artist. Savory played softball and ran track at her school. Her family sends all their love.
And finally, Colby Webster is a senior at River Mill Academy. He enjoys playing the guitar and plans to study engineering and prosthesis.
If you want to share your senior shout outs with us, find the submission form on our website. Submit photos of your senior. We're asking that you don't send professional photos, though. Be sure to include their name, their school. You can also include a list of accomplishments and any personal message you want to include in your shout out. More of the 4 to 5 when we come back. Hello, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Hey, Brett, what's up? Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mic check, mic check. Hello, hello. Mic check 1, mic check 1. Yep.
Was he? Hey, mic check 1, 2, 3. We are live at Governmental Plaza in downtown Greensboro talking about the Reopen NC rally. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Hey, Brett, it's Sean. Joy is coming right over. Come over here, do a mic check real quick. I was calling into the wrong IFB. It sounds fine. Sounds good. You're fine, Adoy. Cool.